Welcome back once again to the Imaginary Gallery. It's TJ, your host. We're in the final section of the Lundy Bancroft book, Why Does He Do That? Inside the Minds of Angry and Controlling Men. I've got that memorized by now. The last section of the origins of abuse. The question is, what if he or she is sorry? Bancroft had said that almost every single time he speaks to a group on abuse or speaks with an individual about abuse, somebody asks the two questions. When this abusive person acts like it's remorseful, is it really? The second question is, if he or she is truly sorry, does that make him or her less likely to be abusive again? The question he asks next is he or she really sorry? Mr. Bancroft tells us that the good news is remorse is often genuine. The bad news is that it very rarely helps. Then he wants you to make sense of this contradiction and says in order to do that, you would need to look first at a very important aspect of what's going inside the mind of the abusive person. His bold type statement is that abusive people have numerous contradictory attitudes and beliefs that are operating simultaneously in their minds. Let's repeat that. Abusive persons have numerous contradictory attitudes and beliefs operating simultaneously in their minds. Then he gives us a few examples of the typical contradictions.
Ladies are fragile and they need protection, but they need to be intimidated every so often or they're going to get out of hand.
My lover and I should have equal say over everything. But my decisions have to count only and rule when it comes to important issues.
I feel terrible about how I treated her, but I should never have to feel this way in a relationship, no matter what I've done.
I shouldn't raise my voice. I should have control over my partner. And sometimes I've got to get loud in order to control him or her.
You should never hit a lady, but sometimes a guy's got no choice.
Bancroft tells us next that when an abusive person feels sorry for its abusive behavior, the regrets it has collide with its sense of entitlement. The contradictory chatter inside the brain sounds, he says, something like this.
I feel so horrible that I said blank you to her. That's not a very nice thing to say, especially in front of the kids. I just lost it. And I want my family to have an image of me as always being strong and always being in charge. I don't like for them to see me looking how ugly I was when I was screaming and arguing. It hurts my self-esteem. But she had the nerve to call me irresponsible. How does she expect me to act with that? She can't talk to me that way. Now the kids are going to think that I was the bad guy when she was the cause of it for calling me irresponsible. If they start taking sides with her, I'm going to let them know why I was mad. Now she's made me look really bad. Oh, blank her.
Bancroft then suggests that you follow the path that this particular person's internal dialogue took. First off, as far as remorse goes, it's not primarily focused on the way that this verbal assault may have wounded the partner, is it? What this person feels mainly would be, number one, it damaged its image in other people's eyes, it offended its own sense of how it would like to be, and it feels that it should be able to control the partner without having to resort to abuse. From these thoughts, this creature slides into blaming the outburst on the partner, which is typical cluster B behavior, and they feel entitled to do such things. In this way, this rids them, whoever they are, of the feelings of guilt. By the end of this self-talk, it's holding the partner totally responsible for all of it. including the effects that he or she has just had on the kids. The abusive person's self-focus and victim-blaming orientation tends to cause its remorse to fade in this way. Now, an abusive person's displays of emotion after early incidents of abuse can be dramatic. He states that he's had clients who will cry and beg their partners for forgiveness and say things like,
"You deserve so much better. I don't even know why you're wasting time with me. I'm a jerk."
Now, the remorse this person shows can create the impression that it's reaching out for real intimacy, especially if you've never seen it look sad like this before. In a day or two, though, that guilt is vanquished, driven away by its internal excuse-making skills. These people that make excuses to you also make the same excuses for themselves, which lets them carry on with whatever they're doing that's inappropriate. Now, the effects of this type of incident will last much longer for the partner who got abused. Of course, pretty soon the abusive person will be snapping at him or her. Such things as,
"What? Aren't you over that yet? Don't you focus on that? Crying out loud, let's just put it behind us and move on ahead."
Basically, this creature's attitude is, "I'm over it, so why aren't you?" Genuine remorse, however, and theatricality are not mutually exclusive. Most people who abuse are truly sorry, mostly for themselves and their appearance and how they look, while also playing up the emotions somewhat to win some kind of pity-play sympathy. A person's dramatic remorse shifts the center of attention back to it. The partner may almost forget the earlier bullying as compassion for its guilt and self-reproach washes over her. If it's a lady, she may soon find herself reassuring him,
"I won't leave you. I still love you. I don't think you're a terrible person."
If they have kids, the lady may find herself covering up what the abusive person did, just so the kids won't blame him, because she doesn't want him to feel even worse. Pity play. As a result of this, he reaps the rewards of having soothing attention for his or her abusiveness, and his or her actions have the effect of keeping the family focused on his or her needs. Remorse usually tends to decline as abusive incidents pile up. The genuine aspect will fade as the abusive person grows accustomed to acting abusively and tuning out you, the partner's, hurt feelings. The theatrical part fades away slowly as it becomes less concerned about losing the relationship, confident now that he, if it's a man, has got her fully hooked in under his control, and she's not going to go anywhere. Salient point about remorse, however, is that it matters very little whether it's genuine or not. Bancroft's clients who get very sorry after their abusive acts change at about the same rate as those who don't feel sorry after their acts of abuse. The most regretful are sometimes the most self-centered, lamenting above all the injury they've done to their own image. They may feel ashamed of having behaved like a cruel dictator, and they want to revert quickly to the role of a benign dictator, as if that somehow makes them much better people. Then somebody may ask, well, if being sorry after an abusive incident doesn't help, well then, what would? Then he gives us a group of steps that could help prevent the next incident of abuse in a way that an apology cannot. Now, if the partner who's been abusive gives you some extended room to be angry about what was done, rather than saying that you need to get over it, you've been angry long enough, shove those angry feelings back down your throat. Or the person's listening well to your perspective without interrupting or making excuses or blaming its actions on you, making amends for anything that was done that was evil. For example, if it threw things across the room, it picks them up and puts them in their proper place, and admits to friends of yours that he or she lied and that he or she did act abusively, and tell the kids that that behavior was unacceptable and was not the kid's fault. making unconditional agreements to immediately change these behaviors and going to get help without you having to say, hey honey, you need help. If this person is willing to take all of these steps after an incident of mistreatment and actually follow through with them, there may be some hope. There may be a chance that this creature is not deeply abusive. Without such clear action, though, that abuse is going to return. Bancroft tells us as well to take self-protective steps quickly. Many abused partners take the wait-and-see attitude when the signs of abuse appear in the partner. They speak to themselves and say things like,
"It's so hard to leave her right now because I still love her. But if it gets worse, then my feelings of love are going to lessen, so breaking up then will be easier."
This, Bancroft says, is a very dangerous trap. The longer that you are with this creature, the more destructive it becomes. The harder it can be to get out of there, for the following reasons. Number one, the more time it has to tear down your self-opinion, the more difficult it will be for you to believe that you actually deserve to be treated in a better way. Number two is the more time it has to hurt you emotionally, the more likely your energy and initiative are to decline, diminish, so that it gets harder to muster the strength to get out of the relationship. 3. The more damage done to your relationship with your friends and your family, the less support you're going to have for that difficult process of ending and leaving a relationship. Number 4, the longer you have been living with these cycles of sweet, mean, the more attached you are likely to feel to this person through a process which is called trauma bonding or traumatic bonding. Now, for all of these reasons, Bancroft suggests that you act sooner rather than later. At the same time, if you have already been in a relationship with an abusive person for 5 years or 10 or 30, he says it's never too late to recover your rights and to get out of there. Freedom. Help is available to you no matter how long your relationships lasted or how deep the effects have been. Then there's a final word of caution that states, if you don't have any kids with this creature, keep it that way. Some ladies may hope that if she just has a baby, that's going to change the evil man's behavior. It won't. It will not make this person settle down or become any more responsible or gain any kind of maturity. It won't stop its jealous accusations by convincing it that you're committed, nor will it get it to stop cheating on you. The presence of kids in the home will not make this person stop abusing you. Having kids with an abusive partner will just make your life a little bit more stressful than it was before, as you begin to worry about the effects this behavior of abuse is going to affect the kids. And if you decide later that you do want to leave this creature, having kids around will make that choice a lot harder, and will possibly raise the possibility that this creature will threaten to try to get custody of the kids, even though it probably doesn't care about them. Bancroft says he has yet to encounter a case where the arrival of children solved any lady's problem with an abusive person, or even lessened its abusiveness.
I am the narcopath. I don't know why you had to make such a big deal. You found out that the church calendar I told you I was working on was really me in a nude centerfold. The shady lady was running a special for the holidays.
And you were so nosy. Mind your own business. Maybe that's why your relationships don't work out. Because you're too nosy. Let us do what we want to do. You didn't need to know about any of that stuff. So what? I posed nude. It was for a good cause. It was for my church. Or so I told you. It's none of your business. What I do in my spare time doesn't affect you. None of your business.
Didn't your mother ever teach you that loose lips sink ships? So why did you find the need to tell your friends that I was a sociopath or a narcissist or a psychopath? Why did you find the need to tell them that? All it did was make you look unstable, because I've been working on them way before I met you. Ones you introduced me to, they were on my side because I picked up on your little quirks and told them that you were mentally ill. So keep your mouth shut. In this case, it just made my situation better. Thanks.
But in the future, keep your mouth shut, or you'll regret it. I guarantee it.
I remember telling you that you needed to get yourself a tinfoil hat.
Because you were so convinced I had some conspiracy going on behind your back. Which of course I did. But you saw how well I played that, didn't you? I wouldn't give in to the truth no matter what happened, even if you showed me pictures of proof. I would accuse you of photoshopping those pictures because if I tell you a lie, I'm never going to tell you that I told you a lie. You tried to tell me I did tell you a lie, and I told you, put your tinfoil hat on and leave me alone. Never mind that you actually caught me doing what I said I wasn't doing. I was long gone by the time that came out. So get yourself a tinfoil hat, and don't go checking up on people. It's for your own good. We'd still be together, probably married forever, if you would have just kept your feelings to yourself, minded your own business. Ugh. One day you'll learn.
Why did I call you? Well, I wanted to hoover you, so I could ruin your life one more time.